Hi, today we'll talk about alcohol and its pharmacological effects. Most of Chapter 7 was covered in our in-class activity, but there are a few slides I'd like to go over with you. Like sedatives, hypnotics, and narcotics, alcohol is a depressant and may be the most widely used drug in the world, and for many of us, a part of daily life or frequent part of our life. For example, wine with dinner or the use of alcohol during family celebrations, holidays, religious celebrations, and so forth. It definitely intersects with food and culture. Like other substances, alcohol is addictive. Some of us may perceive that alcohol is not a drug or not as bad because it's legal. But in fact, many of the people in substance abuse treatment struggle with alcohol. If it's not the primary drug of choice, it may be the secondary drug of choice. And some of our alcoholic clients are our sickest clients, physically and emotionally. Alcohol really wreaks havoc on the mind and the body. Another reason we may not see alcohol as a drug or as bad is because it's so heavily promoted by the alcohol industry. They spend a whole lot of money to make sure that we are perceiving alcohol as a normal, accepted part of life. We also have a long history with alcohol in our country, and as we saw in the Prohibition Hangover video, we haven't always socially endorsed the use of alcohol. So alcohol has had its ups and downs in America. So alcohol interacts with our body in two ways. First, it directly comes in contact with our mouth, esophagus, stomach, and intestine after we drink it, and shortly after influences nearly every organ in the body, as we saw in our in-class activity, including the brain, heart, and liver. Absorption is the way that alcohol makes its way into the bloodstream. And the effects of alcohol on the human body depend on the blood alcohol concentration. And this depends on individual differences. Our bodies are different, right? We're not all 100 pounds. We may be 250 pounds. We may be male or female. Alcohol affects the genders differently. Women have more fat composition in their body. And as we saw in our in-class activity, women suffer the negative health consequences related to alcohol more quickly than men do. Also, women metabolize alcohol slower than men do. Also, our blood alcohol concentration, or BAC, depends on if we have food in our system, how much we're drinking, and what we're drinking. Important to note as well that alcohol has no nutritional value. It's just a lot of carbohydrates. So if you're trying to watch your weight, alcohol is not the way to go. Like other substances, liver breaks down alcohol and inactivates almost 95% of the alcohol consumed. And it does this at a slow and steady rate. So it doesn't matter how much you drink, the liver is still going to metabolize alcohol at the same slow and steady rate. So if you drink 1 beer per hour, your BAC is going to remain constant. If you drink more than that, your BAC is going to increase. A little on the effects of BAC on the body from lowest to highest, and these are really for you to read on your own, but we'll go over a few factoids here. And the reason that I provide you with these is because it's important to know the dangers of alcohol, not only for yourself, but when you're out with friends, to watch out for one another. Watch what you're consuming. Also, watch what your friends are consuming. If your friends are getting wasted, drinking too much too fast, do what you can to slow them down. Don't leave somebody incapacitated either, because that leaves them at risk for sexual assault, physical assault, and even death. So if you're not able to personally step in and help out somebody who is drinking too much too fast or is totally incapacitated, call somebody who can step in and help. Back to the BAC. So at low BAC, we feel euphoric, we feel relaxed. As our BAC increases, we start to feel more impairment, both physically and mentally. We're not walking as well, talking as well. 0.08 is the cutoff for legal impairment, right? You're not to drive at 0.08 or above because you're too impaired as far as your reaction time, your balance, your reason, and your memory. With increased BAC comes increased impairment. Our judgment is significantly impaired. Pretty soon we're not able to walk or talk. We have blurred vision, we're off balance. We may be the, quote, sloppy drunk. There may be feelings of being dazed and confused. Much greater risk for injury to self or others. You may vomit and risk for choking on your vomit as well, a risk of blackout, and at even greater BAC, you become in a complete stupor, totally incapacitated. Coma is possible, and death is possible beyond that. So again, watch yourself and watch out for others as well. A little on alcohol absorption. So first we take it in orally. It goes down the esophagus into the stomach. A little goes from the stomach into the bloodstream, but most of it continues on into the small intestine, where it then goes through the wall of the intestine and into the bloodstream and circulates to the rest of the body, including the brain, heart, and liver. The liver oxidizes alcohol, and again, it does this at a slow and steady rate, but until all the alcohol is oxidized, it continues circulating in your body, including your brain, heart, and liver. So you continue to feel the effects of alcohol until it's completely oxidized. There are a few medications that can help in alcohol dependence. The first one is old school. It's called Antabuse, and this one simply makes you really sick. If you're taking Antabuse and you drink, you're going to get real sick. It's going to feel real bad, so it's definitely a deterrent. Next is naltrexone, which is an antagonist, and remember, antagonists are blockers. This one helps relieve cravings in 20% of alcoholics, whereby the other 80% are not responsive to naltrexone. And the 20% may be responsive due to a certain type of opiate receptor that is responsive to naltrexone, while the others are not. Lastly is Camprol, which reduces withdrawal, and it does this by blocking the release of glutamate. Lastly, let's touch on genetic predisposition to alcoholism. There's strong research to support this genetic predisposition, and it may be due to our genetic ability to consume lots of alcohol. Perhaps we don't feel the same negative effects that others might feel, like nausea, vomiting, or hangover. And we may also feel more pleasure than others. If something doesn't make you feel good, you're probably not going to do it. So those with genetic predisposition to alcoholism may have increased euphoria when drinking. And also remember that social and environmental factors are equally important. Thank you for your attention.